So this is one way you can do this without an easel. Depending on your cast, obviously, you need one that you can hang on a nail, and you need a wall that you know, some kind of a flat surface that you can put a nail in and hang your cast from. So this is going to give you a good idea of at least the setup. You know, don't look too closely at the drawing itself, but very simply, there's a nail with a picture frame hook and a wire connected to the back of the cast. This is a life mask of yours truly, taken when I was, I think, 18 or 19. And this is a half of a sheet of the Fabriano Roma paper. I have another video about this. Basically, you know, you can tape this to the wall, which is what I think I did originally. You can see there that I had masking tape there. Now I have it set up with these pins. So they're just regular drawing pins. I have another cast here of Homer, I think it is. And that's a good one for this setup because it hangs right against the wall. Basically, this is my setup without an easel. Obviously, what you need is a dark background because it's always good to have your cast set up against a background that contrasts with the cast itself. And then, yeah, you just set up your half sheet of Roma, depending. If I were doing this cast, I would probably use a full sheet because it's a little bigger. I could fit it, I could squeeze it onto a piece of paper like this, but you want more breathing room around it. So use a full sheet depending on the size of your sculpture or cast. Anyway, next I'm going to tell you a little bit about setting up with an easel. Okay, I've got another setup here. You'll have to excuse the drawing lurking in the background here, but I am setting this up as just an example of how you can use an easel, basically how I use my easel with my site size practice. So to start, when you're drawing, we'll just talk about drawing, a cast drawing exercise, and ultimately you can use this for any kind of site size project, but I use these, I think they're called, I don't know actually what kind of easel what the name of this easel is, but you can see I have a handful of them around. I have like 4 of them around. I'm going to turn the light up here so you can see. They can fit very large pieces on them. Sometimes you can put the head of the easel on the crossbar. I have a less expensive model here, and I have another. This is the one I like to use. These are the 2 that I use the most often. But this one on the left is a MABEF, and I'll include a link somewhere to, you know, the model that this is, or at least the contemporary equivalent of this easel. But you'll see what I've done is that I've modified the head of the easel. These easels come with this kind of a head. So when I bought this easel, it just had up to here. I then found some wood and cut it to create a slightly wider, I don't know the names of the parts. I really need to learn my easel anatomy here, but I made it wider by wood gluing and screwing into this easel this other piece of wood. There are actually 2 pieces of wood. One is screwed directly into the head of the easel, and then this is wood glued and screwed into that piece. Always starting with a little pilot hole and then screwing in to secure it so you don't split the wood. I think you can see I split the wood here at the end, and then I learned, all right, better do some pilot holes. But then I took some wood screws and created pilot holes in this bar up top and just screwed in the screws. I'm gonna show you the detail here. Actually, it's a little too dark to show you that, but that'll help a little bit. Yeah, so the screws come out a little bit, like, you know, 1/8 of an inch or maybe less, 1/16 of an inch. And what that allows me to do with a canvas or with a piece of MDF board, which is what this is. I think it's called MDF board or fiber board. I had many of these made. I think you can pick them up in Home Depot and have them cut down to size. I can tell you what size this is, but it's probably, you know, 20 inches by, I don't know, 24 inches, something like that. It's a rectangle. It's big enough to fit my Roma paper, which is what you see the outline of there. And really, I only use this for drawing. So I'll tape with masking tape. I'll tape a full piece of Roma paper on there, and you can see in this exercise that I was doing before, the paper is set up flush with the edge of the MDF board. If I were to get a piece of paper now, here, basically a blank piece of paper, you know, a blank piece of Roma paper, you set it up parallel, flush with the edge of the MDF board. You want it flush with the edge of the board on the side that your cast is. In this case, it's on the right. What I've done is to purchase or find or order a spare head to this easel. So this is another head. I have 2 heads here, and one of them I flipped upside down, and what this allows me to do is to get greater precision when I'm doing a site-size project. I'm all about making things easier on yourself I'm all about the setup being precise every time. So that's why I have 2 easel heads. That's because, let's say you, in this case, there's this little clip under here. For most of these easels are like this. I'm gonna try and get a better angle of it. But there's like a trigger here, and if you pull it, this comes up and down, which is great, but it's not precise because it goes in like 1.5-inch increments. So 1, 2, you know, there's a bunch of these. But if you want a specific height for your drawing, and you'll find out as you progress with site size, you may spot the drawing accurately in size and shape, but it's a little bit too high or a little bit too low. So that's why I have these teeth on the easel head so they can grip into my board. The teeth are literally biting into the top of this MDF board, which is about 1/2 inch thick, maybe 1/4 inch thick. Yeah, I think it's 1/2 inch. And down here, you can do the same thing. You have teeth in this modified easel head that grip onto the MDF board, the particle board, and you can manually adjust the height of this thing even more specifically than you can with the trigger handle at the bottom of the easel. This allows you to have minute shifts up and down. And it also has the benefit of just being able to lift your canvas or drawing or whatever your support is for your portrait project or drawing project, you can get it up higher. If you want to raise this one to its highest height, and let's do that now, this is as high as that goes. Okay, the top of the easel is plenty high, but the bottom will only go this high. So if your canvas is only this tall, that's as high as you can go, and it's not eye level. So how do you get it to be eye level? Well, I'll show you again this example where bring this all the way down to its lowest place, and you go online, go to the company and say, hey, I need another head for my easel, and you have one upside down. You can modify it with teeth, or you can sort of get away with balancing it, but you're better off to modify it with a little extension so that you can grip a heavy easel or a particle board. And then on top, same deal, just upside down. You need an extra easel head, and yeah, then you're all set.